Today we'll be working in my workbook called Elijah. Now, this is one of my very first workbooks, so it isn't as polished as the other ones, but it still has information that would be interesting. Looking at the table of contents, we've already completed the first three chapters. This is when in Elijah, the first time we see Elijah is when he prophesied that there's going to be 3 years of famine, and he is fed by the ravens at the river Cherith. Um, fed, and then when that, I'm saying that river name wrong, by the way. And when that river dried up, then God tells him to go to Zarephath, which is on the coastline north of Israel, the land of Israel. And he stays with a widow there. And during that time, her flour and oil does not decrease, and she's able to make it through the famine. And then at the end of the famine, he comes out and he meets Obadiah, who was a faithful man of God, but has stayed in the Ahab's kingdom in Israel. And so then he meets Ahab here, and they decide. And Ahab says, "Who's the troublemaker of Israel?" Well, Elijah isn't. It's Ahab, but Ahab accuses Elijah being the troublemaker since he's the one that brought on the famine. Except that he didn't bring on the famine; God brought on the famine. But anyway. So Elijah says, "Send all the prophets of Baal and Ashtoreth to Mount Carmel." And we have in chapter 3 the interesting story of Elijah versus the prophets of Baal and Ashtoreth. And it's a very interesting story where Elijah wins over all those prophets and kills them. So now we're going to chapter 4. Rain, Jezebel, and angel food. And this covers 1 Kings 18:41 through 19:8. Then Elisha said to Ahab, "Go up, eat and drink, for there is a sound of abundance of rain." So Ahab went up to eat and drink. What had just happened? He had defeated the prophets at Mount Baal. And I better get my answers just in case I don't remember them. That's not it. That's it. Where are Elijah and Ahab? At Mount Carmel. Okay. Or are in the Kishon Valley. That's right. They are on the Kishon Valley. How long had it not been raining? For 3 years and 6 months. Or just 3 years. So about Ahab, who was he again? He was the king of Israel versus Judah. He ruled for 22 years. His king before him was Omri, his father, and he was a very bad king. The word drought means lack of rain. A length of time without rain causes the crops to dry up, which is a famine. Both a famine and a drought were happening in the land of Israel. When Elijah told Ahab to eat and drink, what was he really telling him? Water's coming, rain's coming, you can relax, enjoy yourself. And Elijah went up to the top of Mount Carmel. Then he bowed down on the ground and put his face between his knees and said to his servant, "Go up now, look toward the sea." So he went up and looked and said, "There is nothing." So underline Mount Carmel. Okay. Let's see. Okay, right there. So it's on the coastline, as you can see. What else happened on Mount Carmel? And of course, that is where he confronts the prophets of Baal and kills them afterwards. Is this a strange way to pray? Yeah, it seems like it. How do you pray? Pray with my eyes closed, just sitting down. But this is bowed down with his face between his knees. We never know the name of the servant that works with Elijah. What do you think it would be like to work as Elijah's servant? Do you think the servant believed in Elijah's God? So there's many options here. Of course, Elijah's servant would have been very busy. Elijah would have picked a servant that God chose, so the servant should either believe in Elijah's God or would so shortly, we would think. Um, he's certainly going to see a lot of things through Elisha that he hasn't seen before. 7 times he said, "Go again." Then it came to pass on the seventh time that he said, "There is a cloud as small as a man's hand rising out of the sea." How many times did the servant have to look? 7 times. Elijah was persistent. What did the cloud mean? That there was moisture in the air. So he said, "Go up, say to Ahab, prepare your chariot and go down before the rain stops you." Now it happened in the meantime that the sky became black with clouds and wind, and there was heavy rain. So Ahab rode away and went to Jezreel. So he was in Mount Carmel, and Elisha tells Ahab to leave quickly because the rains will cause you to not be able to leave at all. Make a line from Mount Carmel to Jezreel. How could the rain stop Ahab from driving his chariot down to Jezreel? Make the roads muddy so that his wheels couldn't work. What items below are not part of a storm? Of course, that one and that one and that one, of course, and that one. Horrible. Anyway, then the hand of the Lord came upon Elijah, and he girded up his loins and ran ahead of Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel. So, note the distance from Mount Carmel to Jezreel was 17 miles. Horses can run between 20 to 30 miles per hour. An average man, certainly an elder man, can run about 11 miles per hour. So, Elijah is going to be running quicker than 30 miles an hour. Now, girded up his loins. Remember, they wear these skirts like. So, what they do is they gather it up between their legs and fasten it to the front. So, they have more, so their legs can move without resistance. Do you think Ahab was walking or running his horses down the hill to Jezreel? Running. Do you think God gifted Elijah with an unusual ability to run fast at this time? Yes. Why do you believe so? Because he's able to outrun or catch up with Ahab, and even with the horses. The horses ran 20 miles. How long would it take approximately to get to Jezreel? About an hour. Time passes between the end of chapter 8 and the start of chapter 19, but not much. Ahab continues to travel down to where Jezebel is staying, which is probably Samaria, the capital of the kingdom of Israel, while Elijah stays in Jezreel. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elisha had done, also how he executed all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elisha, saying, "So let the gods do to me and more also, if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time." So obviously she wasn't happy that her prophets had all been killed. Make a line from Jezreel to Samaria. Jezreel to Samaria. This would probably be another 20 miles or so. Since Ahab was taking his chariot and horses run about 20 miles or so per hour, how long did it take Ahab to get to Samaria? About an hour. Who is Jezebel? Now, Jezebel, you can look it up, but Jezebel was Ahab's wife. She was the daughter of Ethabal, the king of Sidonians, and Jezebel believed in Baal. When he saw that, he arose and ran for his life and went to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his servant there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a broom tree. And he prayed that he might die and said, "It is enough. Now, Lord, take my life, for I'm no better than my father's." Make a line from Jezreel to Dothan to Gilgal to Bethel to Jebus and then to Beersheba. Okay, so Jezreel to Dothan. Jezreel to Dothan. Dothan to Gilgal. Gilgal to Bethel, and Bethel to Jebus, which will be Jerusalem eventually, and Jebus to Beersheba. Was Elijah afraid? Yes, it sounds like he's afraid. What does Elijah mean when he says he's no better than his fathers? So no matter what he does, he's not able to change the people's mind as far as worshiping God. That's my opinion anyway. And then as he lay and slept under a broom tree, suddenly an angel touched him and said to him, "Arise and eat." Then he looked, and there by his head was a cake baked on coals and a jar of water. So he ate and drank and lay down again. Do you think Elijah was giving up? Yes, he was giving up. Elijah walked in the wilderness of Beersheba a day so that no one could find him. Who was he hiding from? Ahab and Jezebel. Can we ever hide from God? No, we can't ever hide from God. So it isn't God that he's hiding from, although he may want to feel like that. Why do you think the angel did not say any more about arise and eat? Because they're allowing Elijah time to be depressed. Sometimes we need to have time to be upset. Did Elijah doubt God or himself? Himself. He doubted himself. The angel of the Lord came back the second time and touched him and said, "Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for you." So he rose and ate and drank, and he went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights as far as Horeb, the mountain of God. Find the arrow to Mount Horeb on the map on page 41 and extend your line to that. Okay, so it's much farther down. Of course, it's the same. Mount Horeb is Mount Sinai, and the same mountain that Moses had gotten the commandments. It's a mountain of God. Based on the scripture above, how long did it take Elijah to get to Mount Horeb? 40 days and 40 nights. No, Mount Horeb and Mount Sinai are the same mountain. What other major event happened at Mount Sinai? Moses got the Ten Commandments. And he talked with the burning bush there as well. Did Elijah eat anything else for those 40 days and nights? No, he did not. I think I would like some of that angel food, wouldn't you? Be able to survive without for 40 days and 40 nights without eating. Anyway, that's the end of this chapter, and I hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it. Thank you.